I'm Melanie Snyder. I serve as the executive director of a large reentry coalition in Lancaster County, Pennsylvania. It's called the RMO. And we've been doing work for about 10 years as a collaborative effort, bringing together people in the faith community, the criminal justice system, players, and the human services sector to really address issues facing individuals who've been in prison, address the issues when they're coming out of prison, think about what are the impacts on their families. And I have to say, 10 years ago, I really didn't know anything about the criminal justice system. It was out of sight, out of mind. I didn't pay much attention to it until it hit the evening news. And of course, the stories that are in the evening news are never the good stories. But I had an opportunity 10 years ago. I met a woman who had worked inside the state prisons in Pennsylvania for over 30 years. And she was looking for somebody to write a book about her work in the Pennsylvania state prison system. So I agreed to write that book and started going into the prisons myself and sitting down with incarcerated men and women and hearing their stories. And I started to learn a lot about what brings people to prison, some of the reasons that people are incarcerated, some of the reasons that they stay trapped in the system. And what I was learning just really shocked me. And I reached kind of a point where I had to somehow get involved. So after my book was published, I made a radical midlife career change, got into this reentry work. And some of the important work that I think really needs to happen at this point going forward is we really need for churches to understand how the criminal justice system, how the war on drugs, how the criminalization of addiction and mental health issues is tearing apart individuals and families. One of the things that I've learned in this journey over the past 10 years is that because we've passed so many laws that criminalize addiction and mental health issues, we are then locking up people who are addicted to drugs, people who have significant mental health needs. And then the process of arrest and incarceration and solitary confinement and many of the things that happen inside a prison are so traumatizing that it actually makes their conditions worse. So I really feel like the churches have an opportunity to become a prophetic voice to speak out against the criminalization of addiction and mental health issues, to begin advocating instead for treatment instead of punishment for these conditions. And also I think the churches need to speak out about the prison industrial complex. There are many for-profit entities that are now making money off of keeping large numbers of people locked up, and that's a really significant concern. One of the things that has been talked about here at the Ecumenical Advocacy Days Conference is the Healing Communities Initiative. That's a national training framework for the faith community. It was developed originally by the Annie E. Casey Foundation. And it provides a real important perspective and awareness for churches about the criminal justice system and all of its impacts. But then more importantly than raising that awareness is it engages churches in thinking about how they are going to take action. How can we change the culture within our own congregation to help people who've been caught up in the criminal justice system, but who maybe because of shame and stigma haven't even been able to talk about that at church? How can we make a culture that makes them feel like they can reach out for help, they can talk about their experience, and instead of facing judgment and condemnation, that they would be greeted with acceptance, with a willingness to show mercy and compassion and forgiveness, that their families would be cared for while they are locked up and when they are returning home. So I think those are some of the things that we can do as people of faith. Educate ourselves and then be willing to speak up, speak truth to power in these systems that keep people trapped and enslaved really within this criminal justice system.